This is section 14.2, units of production method. So let's talk about this. Units of production is a depreciation method that estimates the amount of depreciation based on usage. And this could be miles driven, tons hauled, or units that a machine produces, the number of hours. You're going to see all kinds of different types of usage, right? So we take to find the depreciation per unit, we take the cost minus the residual value, just like we did on the straight line method. We get the amount we're going to depreciate and we divide it by the number of units that we estimate we can use it for, right? So this many miles, this many hours, whatever it might be. Then to find the depreciation amount for the year, you take the amount per unit times the number of units produced. So if it's 20,000 miles, you're going to take that times the depreciation per mile, and that tells you how much depreciation you can take for that year. Okay, so now we get on to the problem. That screen was blank, so I fixed that. So to begin with, we have to talk about the depreciation per unit. We have to find the depreciation per unit, and we do that by subtracting first. So we take our cost, the cost of the car, we subtract the residual value. Remember, this is a similar problem to the one we did before. The residual value is a little bit different, and I did that so that our unit cost would be a nice number. And then we take the amount we can depreciate is $24,000. We're going to divide that by the number of miles that we feel that we can drive this car, which is 150,000. Right? So the useful life was 4 years, but we don't really use that except for the chart. But we do use that 150,000 miles. So when we divide, we get 0.16, which is 16 cents per mile. Right? That's how much we get to depreciate. When we fill out our chart, once again, this whole column is going to be 29,000. The cost of the car was still the cost of the car, no matter what year it was. So just get that completed. And now we just multiply. So we're going to multiply by 0.16 on each of these to get the amount of depreciation for the year. And you'll notice that it's different each year. The straight line, we had the same amount every year, but for this, it's going to change each year. So we just multiply each one of these. And at the end of the year, for the first year, we get to take $5,360 in depreciation. We subtract that from the book value. So we take 29,000 and subtract 5,360. So my new book value at the end of the year is 23,640. And that's the process. We find the amount of depreciation, we subtract that from the book value to get the new book value for the year, we add it to the accumulated depreciation, and we just go through this process step by step. So now the depreciation with 38,000 miles times 16 cents is 6,080. We add that to the 5,360. So for this year, the accumulated at the end of year 2, we've accumulated $11,440 in depreciation, and we subtract 6,080 to get this next amount. Oh, I'm not going to put the dollars on every single one. So 17,560, and we just keep going. So this year for year 3 is 5,044. For year 4 is 6,016. So I'm going to add 5,744 on this next line for year 3 and add 6,016 for this one. Now, the nice thing about doing this accumulated is you see that we've depreciated just a little bit less than what we could have, which was $24,000. So that means that we're not going to have any problems with going below our residual value. When we subtract the 5,744, we get 11,816, and then we subtract 6,016 and we get 5,800. So this residual value is good because it is above $5,000, right? We can't ever go below, so that's where we'll be on the lookout for that to make sure that that doesn't happen. Here's the next question. So this was back from the gym company that we use for the straight line depreciation. Gym company bought a machine for $38,000 with an estimated life of 6 years and residual value of $5,000. Calculate the first 2 years depreciation assuming units of production method. This machine is expected to produce 120,000 units. We don't really know what the units are, and it honestly doesn't matter. In year 1, it produced 22,000 units, and in year 2, 39,000 units. Now this one's a little bit easier. We don't have quite as many calculations to do, but we have to find out how much, right? We've got our amount that we can depreciate is $33,000. And we're going to divide that by 120,000 because that's the number of units that we can produce. And that's going to be 0.275 per unit. So 27.5 cents per unit. Now we're going to calculate year 1. So in year 1, it produces 22,000 units. 22,000 times 0.275 is 6,050. And then we're going to calculate year 2. This one just said to calculate depreciation for the 2 years. We take 39,000 times 0.275, and that's 10,725. Okay, so we're finished with that depreciation using units of production. One of the hardest parts of the depreciation is to remember which is, which unit or which type is which method am I using, how does it work, because there's some similarities and some differences with each one. All right, Jim purchased a used RV with 21,000 miles for $48,750. Originally, the RV sold for $70,000 with a residual value of $20,000. After subtracting the residual value, depreciation allowance per mile was 86 cents. How much was Jim's purchase price over or below the book value? Now this one I feel like maybe is a little bit of a tricky calculation. You're going to see how much have you used up of this RV in the 21,000 miles at 86 cents per mile. So that would be 18,060, right? And that is the accumulated, that's the accumulated depreciation. So far for this RV. So we take that then and subtract it from the original book value. And then that says that our new book value is 51,940. So that's the book value after we've taken that amount of depreciation. They gave 48,750. So that means that they gave less than the book value. And let's see how much less. So it was 3,190 below book value. And then that's all we were supposed to say. Is it over or below? And it's below. This question has 4 parts, A through D. We're starting out with a delivered price, including attachments, of a crawler dozer tractor is $135,000 with a residual value of 35%. The useful life of the tractor is 7,700 hours. So we need to figure out the residual value, and we can do that by just multiplying by 35%. So now we're down where the residual value. So in other words, here's how much it should still be worth at the end of the useful life, right? At the end of 7,700 hours. And this is the residual value. What is the total amount of depreciation allowed? Well, that would be 135,000 minus the residual value. So we can depreciate $87,750. Okay, now what is the amount of depreciation per hour? By the way, this problem came from the challenge problems, and so it has a little bit more stuff going on here, but I thought it was a good problem to talk about. So we're going to take the amount we can depreciate and divide it by the total number of hours in the useful life. So that would be $11.40 per hour. That's how much we get to depreciate it. Every single hour it operates, $11.40 of depreciation. Here's the next 2 parts of this. If the tractor is operated 5 days a week for an average of 7.25 hours a day, what would the depreciation be for the first year? Okay, so this calculation is about coming up with how many hours it worked for the whole year. So it's 52 weeks times 5 days per week times 7.25 hours per day times 1140 per hour, right? Because that's how much we get to take on our depreciation every single hour. So multiply this out and you end up with $21,489, and so that's how much the depreciation would be for the first year. Then it said if the hours of operation were the same each year, what would be the total number of years of useful life for the tractor? So we would take the 87,750 and divide it by the amount of depreciation if we did that each year, and you would get 4.08, which means it would have a useful life of 4 years. And then that would be the end of that. So this lesson's completed, and then we'll go on to more types of depreciation on section 14.3.